Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. I never know how to start these. I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite podcasts because I love podcasts. It still feels like a really new medium for me, but I've been listening to podcasts for a few years and I want to share with some of my favorites. So let's do that.
Welcome to Pop Culture Happy Hour.
This is Code Switch.
Radio Lab. If you must, remember this. Welcome to another round with Evan and Tracy.
The first podcast I'm going to be talking about is, I love all these podcasts, I love these podcasts, but this one may be my favorite. It's Pop Culture Happy Hour. First episode of Pop Culture Happy Hour I listened to was their most recent episode at the time, and they were talking about Mr. Robot Season 1, and I was hooked. I love this podcast so much. It's basically a roundtable discussion. There are 3 or 4 people and they talk about pop culture, so TV shows, movies, award shows, music, musicals. They talk about Hamilton, because how can you not? Books, sometimes they talk about books. Yeah, all the pop culture goodness. This podcast just makes me happy. This podcast has been going on for years. I'm not sure how many years. Whenever I don't know what to listen to or I want to be in a better mood than I currently am, I listen to old episodes of Pop Culture Happy Hour, and I'm slowly trying to make my way and listen to all of them. I think I'm only in like year 2013. Whenever I watch anything that they talk about that intrigues me and that I've also maybe like been wanting to try but I haven't yet, it's always good. I had heard of Playing House, and then they talked about Playing House and I watched it, and that's one of my favorite shows now. I also think that I'm kind of like Glenn. Also, when I first started watching Pop Culture Happy Hour, I was watching 30 Rock for the first time, and the character of, he's Tracy's doctor. He's like a really crappy doctor. I think his name is like Dr. Sputnik or something. Tracy calls him Dr. Spaceman, I think. Anyways, I don't remember what that actor's name is, but his voice sounds like, when I first started listening to Pop Culture Happy Hour, like Glenn's voice. So I'm gonna need you to listen to that actor's voice and then listen to Pop Culture Happy Hour and listen to Glenn's voice and then come back and tell me that I'm right. That would be most appreciated. Also, Pop Culture Happy Hour's episodes are usually like 40 to 50 minutes in length. Next podcast I'll be talking about is one that I believe someone on Pop Culture Happy Hour suggested on What's Making Me Happy, and it is Sleepover on CBC. It's the only Canadian podcast that I listen to. I should have more. This podcast is hosted by Suk-Yun Lee, and she invites 3 people that she doesn't know, they do not know each other, into a hotel, and they have a sleepover. Each person talks about their biggest fear of theirs or something that they're trying to overcome. Each episode is 30 minutes in length. They focus in on one person at that sleepover each episode. Only season 1 is out. It is addictive. I listened to, I think, like 1 episode one day, and the next episode I listened to the other 9. I think there's 9 out or something like that. It's wonderful. It's so good, and I can't wait for season 2, which I believe is coming out soon. Next podcast I'm going to be talking about is Code Switch, which is also another NPR podcast. One of the hosts is Gene Demby, who sometimes appears on Pop Culture Happy Hour. Code Switch started off as a blog on NPR, then they created a podcast, and it is wonderful. It comes out once a week. The episodes are about 20 to 30 minutes in length. It's jam-packed with excellent content in such a short amount of time, and they talk about issues of race, mostly in America. It's fantastic. You learn a lot. The next podcast I'm going to be talking about is the chapter titles were so good. This is one of the first podcasts I ever listened to. I think I heard about it on Tumblr. It is a Harry Potter podcast. It's 3 friends that talk about Harry Potter. Each episode is a chapter, and they've already gone through the whole series, and the podcast is over. I'm near the end of book 7, so I don't have that many episodes left. Each episode is about 20 to 30 minutes in length, usually more around the 20-minute mark. It's funny, it's silly. They do hate on Hagrid and Ron, which I don't enjoy, but you know, they do it in a good-natured way most of the time. Yeah, this will always get me to laugh, and I really enjoy it. The next podcast is the last NPR podcast that I will be talking about. It's Radiolab. Radiolab is extremely popular. I don't think I need to suggest this, but it's just so good. Their episodes are about like an hour in length, sometimes a little bit more. Each episode focuses on a topic. They have an episode about your brain, about like blood. I tend to like the more warrior ones. They're all really good. So basically their episode is usually broken up into 3 stories that have to do with that topic. It's very fascinating. The next podcast is another recent podcast that I just started listening to, and it's called You Must Remember This. It talks about the first century of film in Hollywood, and that is very up my alley. So if you like the TV channel TCM, Turner Classic Movies, then you will definitely like this. First episode I listened to was the second episode ever, and it was about Frank Sinatra and how he has this album that he released in the 70s or 80s, I'm not sure, where it's, I forget what it's called, but like Frank Sinatra trilogy or something like that. It's an album of 3 parts. The first part is past, so music from the past, so like more big band type stuff. And then there's music from the present, which is present of that time, but I still think very Frank Sinatra present, not really 70s to 80s music present. And then the third and the best album part is the future, where Frank Sinatra sings about space. He sings about outer space, guys. Like, he has a little line about each planet, Venus, Pluto. He sings about them, and it's wonderful. Like, it's so ridiculous and something that like you would not expect. So she talks about this history of this album and how it was known at the time, but like people don't really talk about it, and I haven't listened to the album yet. I want to. And then she has other episodes, you know, where she talks about Judy Garland, Elizabeth Taylor. With that podcast, I tend to just pick and choose the topics that interest me, and then I think afterwards I'll probably like go through and like just listen to them all because they're always really interesting. And the last podcast I will be talking about is Another Round. I don't know why I said it like that. Hosted by Heaven and Tracy. I loved it. Their episodes are about 40 to an hour in length. They're fantastic. They talk about issues of race, politics, mental health, pop culture stuff. Each episode they have a guest and they interview them. When I first started listening to this podcast, I just picked episodes with guests that I had heard, like that I knew of, but then I went back and I listened to all of them because they're great. They're fantastic. They're super funny and smart. I love them so much. Those are the podcasts that I love. Let me know what podcasts you listen to, if any, or if you listen to any of these and how you like them. But please give me your recommendations, because on my phone I have this like super long list of podcasts that I want to try listening to. Yeah, that's it, guys. I need to drink some water because I talked a lot and I was super excited. Yeah. Okay, bye guys.